In a dramatic turn of events, Rob Newberry was notified by his doctors that he only had a few weeks left to live, with his colon cancer having reached the critical stage 4 diagnosis. His doctors ordered more chemotherapy, more invasive surgeries, but as the brutal treatments built up, Newberry decided that he would try a diet of raw, vegan superfoods. While his doctors critiqued his chosen therapy as naive, Newberry was focused on one thing: feeling better, feeling human again. A few months later, Newberry went back in to get a scan to see how his cancer was progressing. And to everyone's surprise, his cancer had receded by a whopping 80%. A year later, none of the cancer was present. Amazing as this story is, Rob Newberry is not alone. Thousands are turning to the vegan diet when conventional treatments leave them feeling broke and weak. Today I would like to persuade you to try the vegan diet because it will save the environment, reduce your risk of obesity, and reverse any development of cardiovascular disease. The first reason you should try the vegan diet is because it will save the environment. Many people believe that their personal food choices don't actually affect the environment. Instead, they link environmental change and pollution with visible polluters, like oil companies. However, as a 2009 report from World Watch shows, livestock and their byproducts emit nearly 33,000 million tons of CO2 emissions per year, or roughly 51% of worldwide annual greenhouse gas emissions. So clearly, our decision to eat meat or to go get a hamburger at McDonald's absolutely affects the environment because it drives the industry that accounts for the majority of environmental pollution in our world. An example of this was when I was recently driving down to Los Angeles with my family. About 30 minutes outside of Gilroy, a stench filled the air, and it stuck with us for many miles along the 101. What was that stench? Cow farts, or in other words, methane. But the reason that there was such a stench in the air was because of the mass production of cattle along the 101, all driven by our demand as Americans to eat more and more meat. However, if we choose to move away from meat, we can help stop that demand and thus stop the industry that creates all this environmental pollution. The second reason you should try a vegan diet is because it will reduce your risk of obesity. Now, obesity and obesity-related illnesses, such as hypertension and diabetes, all stem from the body's ability to regulate insulin and thus our blood glucose levels. This is evidenced by a 2005 study of 64 postmenopausal overweight women, in which the authors found that those that followed the vegan diet not only showed significant weight reduction, but also showed improved ability to regulate insulin and glucose. Essentially, as they moved their diet away from high-fat, high-cholesterol foods to low-fat, high antioxidant foods, their body was better ability to regulate the amount of insulin released into their bloodstream. This is particularly important because insulin helps the uptake of glucose, which is the essential component many cells need for energy. And if our body can't regulate insulin correctly, we're more likely to become overweight. So by eating a vegan diet, we can improve our body's regulation of insulin and improve our weight. One example of this, personally, is the fact that I no longer struggle with up and down energy highs throughout the day. I used to wake up feeling low, eat some food, feel an energy high, and then continue to fluctuate like that throughout the day. But as I've transitioned my diet to more plant-based vegan diet, I found that my energy levels are very stable. The third reason you should try a vegan diet is because it will reduce any risk of cardiovascular disease. Now, at the heart of it, pun intended, cardiovascular disease all stems from the clogging of arteries. Specifically, LDL, cholesterol, and saturated fat move slowly through the blood. And as we consume a diet high in these two components, the arteries begin to clog, restricting blood flow, increasing blood pressure, and decreasing the ability of our heart to fill our body and muscles with oxygen correctly. All of this is evidenced by a 2014 study in which the authors took 198 patients with established cardiovascular disease. In other words, they already had clogged arteries. Now, they put them all on a vegan diet. Of the 177 that followed this vegan diet, after a mean of 3.7 years of following such a diet, 93% experienced either a complete resolution of symptoms or a significant improvement of symptoms. This was evidenced by the way that they felt, their blood pressure, but also scans of their arteries, which showed that what was previously clogged with cholesterol and saturated fat was completely freed up, leading to a healthier blood pressure and a healthier life. I've experienced this in my personal life, as I used to have higher blood pressure. I would go in for a checkup and have a blood pressure exceeding 140. But now, on a vegan diet, I'm able to keep that blood pressure below 120, and I feel healthier throughout the day. Today, I've shared with you 3 excellent reasons why you should try the vegan diet. Because it will save the environment, reduce your risk of developing obesity, and reverse any development of cardiovascular disease. My hope is that you will try to incorporate more plant-based foods into your diet. Maybe have a salad instead of a sandwich for lunch. I leave you with this one final thought. All of us desire a happy, healthy, long life for ourselves and for our posterity. So let's make meaningful change in our food choices that will positively affect us towards that end.